Good morning, everyone. I'm about to call the proceedings to order. I am the Dean of Humanities and Education, the faculty that is proudly the beneficiary of what we're about to witness today. And my name is Wibinte Wariboko. The principal of the Mona campus, Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Archibald MacDonald, our special friend to the Mona campus, and our academic colleague in many senses, Honorable Senator Ruel Reid, Dr. Ruel Reid, our friend, another very dear friend, Minister, the Honorable Favor Williams, His Excellency, Ambassador Tuan Quay, the Chancellor, Fan, Chinese Embassy, Mr. Dean Roy Bernard, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, members of the TYUT delegation from China, members of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, members of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, members of the Urban Development Corporation, specially invited guests, members of the Mona campus community, ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. We are here to ceremonially do the groundbreaking ceremony for the Confucius Institute building, which is one of the byproducts, as I understand, of the negotiations between the government of China on one hand and the government of Jamaica on the other. And we, as a university and campus, being the beneficiary of the negotiation. I'm very happy as the Dean of the faculty, as I said earlier, who would ultimately, in a certain very specific sense, associate ourselves with this building as part of our faculty. The institute, which already does exist, has been a very good addition to our faculty, not just because it symbolizes in very concrete terms the relationship between Jamaica and China and our place and role in that relationship, but also what the Institute, as you are going to hear very shortly, is capable of contributing to the scholarship of Confucianism, Chinese philosophy, and also to the general studies in the humanities. We are looking forward to this kind of more productive relationship when the building is finished and when all the units within that building begin to function as effectively as we expect they would be within the Mona campus and beyond. Welcome to the ceremony, and without further ado, I will invite our principal to come up to the podium. Principal MacDonald.
I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. Confucius. How could I start to address this distinguished audience on such an occasion without quoting perhaps one of the most quoted philosophers of our time, the Honorable Royal Reid, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, the Honorable Favored Williams, Minister from the Ministry of Finance, Ambassador Tian Kui, hope I got that right, sir. I don't see our permanent secretary, but let me recognize him even in his absence. Professor Wu and members of the TYUT delegation from China, members of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, members of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, members of the Urban Development Corporation, UWI colleagues, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed my pleasure to greet you all this morning as we officially break ground for the Confucius Institute. Though the Confucius Institute has been on this campus for some time now, this ceremony heralds the commissioning of a new building, which will increase the Institute's capacity to engage with our community and members of the public who are interested in its offerings. It is noteworthy that in spite of Confucius Institute's only starting operations in 2004, China now has over 513 of them worldwide, plus another 1,074 Confucius classrooms located in primary and secondary schools. Today, the University of the West Indies Mona campus welcomes this movement for harmony, cross-cultural dialogues, and cultural diplomacy. We welcome this facility, which in no way, shape, or form impacts our independent thought, policies, and institutional culture, but by design is meant to position Jamaicans to effectively engage their Chinese counterparts and be able to access business, cultural, and academic opportunities with the benefit of language training. By all accounts, Mandarin Chinese language is the most spoken language in the world, with over 1.2 billion native speakers. It's followed by Spanish, with English a distant third. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and faculty, this is a strategic partnership with mutual benefits to be gained. The facility comes out of an agreement signed between the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, acting on behalf of the Government of Jamaica, and the Ministry of Commerce of the People's Republic of China, acting on behalf of the Government of the People's Republic of China almost 2 years ago. This new building will house, I understand, a lecture theater, a training room, a reception center, a main office, a storeroom, an entrance hall, a patio area, a facilities room, a conference room, and a small meeting room, classrooms, display areas, tea break areas, a library, directors and executive offices. So you can see that this is quite a significant and large building. The building will also include generators, facilities for security, devices for network and video conferences, and furniture for teaching and offices, among other things. This is indeed a major development, and we again welcome this opportunity for learning and sharing. We are confident that this facility will go a far way in enhancing the learning environment, allowing the members of our community and Jamaicans as a whole to engage human to human, one culture to another, for greater levels of social and economic cooperation. Congratulations to all the various partners and stakeholders who have worked hard behind the scenes to make this moment and development a reality. As they say in Mandarin, Sheshi, thank you.
It's my pleasure to invite the current head of the Department of Modern Languages and Literatures, where the Institute is situated within the Faculty of Humanities and Education. Help me welcome Professor Ramsey.
Thank you, Professor Warboko. Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Archibald MacDonald, Senator the Honorable Ruel Reid, Honorable Favour Williams, His Excellency Ambassador Tian Kui, members of the visiting team from Shanxi Province, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen all, good morning. Here at the University of the West Indies, we have great news, which is that for the past 9 years, we have been allowed the opportunity to recreate and share Chinese culture through the Confucius Institute. The signing of an MOU by the governments of Jamaica, the People's Republic of China, and the UWI Mona campus in 2005 led to the generous donation of a language laboratory and the assignment of a Chinese instructor for a project to introduce Mandarin to UWI students. Consequently, Chinese was offered for the first time in 2006-2007 to 27 adventurous students, and then in 2008-2009 to 18 equally curious students. This undoubtedly facilitated the acceptance of the proposal for the Confucius Institute, since the department could then say we already have a Chinese program on the books. On February 2009, on the occasion of the visit of then Vice President, now President of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Xi Jinping, to Jamaica and the UWI, a shiny new plaque was unveiled to announce the Confucius Institute. What an extraordinary honor that was, to have the Vice President of one of the most important countries in world economy at our UWI Mona. And now we can say that the current President of China was on our campus. The proposal for the Confucius Institute was written by the former head of the Department of Modern Languages and Literatures, Dr. Marie-José Zengotayo. A network of persons also supported her proposal at different stages. Among them, acting principal at the time, Professor Elsa Leoraini, and later a new principal, Professor Gordon Shirley, new dean, Professor Agri Brown, along with Madam Song Yu Ping and Ambassador Zheng Qingdong of the Chinese embassy, who gave it its final impetus. Institutional changes brought new persons into the initiative, but we must never forget the role that Dr. Zengotayo played in the incipient stages of the Confucius Institute's development. A partnership with Taiwan University of Technology in Taiwan City, Shanxi Province, resulted in an official MOU in 2010. In 2011, a new MOU was signed and a board created comprising members of the administration of TYUT and the UWI, Professor Gordon Shirley, Professor Paulette Ramsey, both directors at the time of the CI, Dr. Courtney Hogarth, Professor Lu Shangang. The board has subsequently changed to include Professor Archibald MacDonald, our principal, and the new Chinese director, Dr. Yu Wanso. The Confucius Institute has operated under the direction of the first local Jamaican director, the first Chinese director, and in the past 2 years, with the new Chinese director, working with Dr. Hogarth and the head of the Department of Modern Languages and Literatures, under the agreement with Hanban, the Language Council of China, and the joint collaboration with TYUT, the Confucius Institute has continued to link China to Jamaica. We have received 5 lecturers and 8 young volunteers from TYUT and different parts of China, respectively. In 2012, 2 students, Adrian Lindsay and Jonathan Chung, received scholarships under the exchange program with TYUT. Today, we are honored to have members of the TYUT board of the Confucius Institute and members of TYUT administration with us. The Confucius Institute observes Mandarin classes for the community, or holds Mandarin classes for the community and the Department of Modern Languages and Literatures as credit courses, classes in calligraphy and Tai Chi, and celebrates many special events such as the anniversary lecture series, the Film of the Month series, Dragon Boat Festival, and what has been established as CI Day across the world. We have had the privilege of administering the important HSK Chinese Language Proficiency Examination, and in 2013, the first set of 14 students who performed well went to TYUT to study. Affiliated Confucius classrooms were established at Campion College and Arden High School, respectively. In 2013, classes were introduced at the American International School in Kingston, and in 2014 as an elective at Shortwood Teachers College and Hampton High School, respectively, with our volunteers and lecturers at RCI going to these places to deliver them. The CI has always collaborated with the Embassy of China and with all ambassadors since 2009, as well as with the Chinese Benevolent Association and other cultural groups. Today, we break ground for the new building and provide a metaphorical breaking down of barriers between 2 countries that have had a long association, predating all the many Miss Chins and Mr. Chins in Chinese shops all over Jamaica, descendants of the Chinese who came to Jamaica through Hong Kong starting in 1854. Our current Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Archibald MacDonald, assumed leadership of the CI in 2013. The principals have been chairs of the Local Advisory Board and Board of Governors. Professor MacDonald has been our leader, helping us to work through the knots. We did not get him to take the long trek to TYUT, but he has been with us through all advisory board meetings and one board meeting, and we want to publicly thank him for his firm support and for his commitment to the agenda to provide our students with a global education through the Confucius Institute. We now know so much more about China, one of the oldest and certainly the most enduring ancient culture. Our students are exposed to the great philosophies of Confucius, from whom they can learn so many values for living due to the work of the Confucius Institute. We look forward to the completion of this building in 3 months' time. We can picture it in our mind's eyes. Stately, beautiful, prominent, and yes, a reminder of our connection to the government and people of China. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
As expected, and I could hear the minister acknowledging that. That was well delivered, Professor Ramsey. I expected no less. Thank you. I now like to invite the ambassador to Jamaica from China, Duan Chi. The full complement is Ambassador Extraordinaire, Plenipotentiary of China to Jamaica. I welcome you to the podium.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. So, Senator, the Honorable Ruo Reid, Minister of Education, Youth and Information. Honorable Favor Williams, Minister with that portfolio, Ministry of Finance and Public Service. Professor, the Honorable Archibald MacDonald, Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal, UWI Mona. Professor Paulette Ramsey, Head Modern Languages and Literatures. Dear friends from China, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's my great honor to attend this ceremony with great significance. It's not a simple building because it's the new teaching building of the Confucius Institute. Now in the world, there are more than 500 Confucius Institutes in more than 140 countries with more than 2 million students. This institute is not a simple one because it's the first one in the Caribbean. Inaugurated by President Xi Jinping in February 13, 2009, then in his capacity as Vice President of China during his first visit to the Caribbean. It's not a simple building because it locates in the beautiful campus of the UWI Mona, which is the cradle of the elite of the society and backbones of national development of Jamaica. With the collaboration of the new Confucius Institute, I'm sure that the UWI Mona will play a greater role in Jamaica and the Caribbean at large, and to unlock more potentials for economic and cultural growth. It's not a simple building because it will turn out to be a broad bridge of friendship between the two peoples and cultural educational exchanges between the two countries. Now there are more than 100 million people overseas learning Chinese. I hope with the completion of this building, there will be more Jamaicans learning Chinese language and the true essence of Confucianism. As we all know that Confucius was the first teacher in China. He believed all human beings, rich or poor, are teachable, improvable, and perfectible through personal and communal endeavor. He devoted himself to making education broadly available and established the art of learning and teaching as a way for better life and a more harmonious society. He believed that all men on earth are human brothers. He advocated the golden mean, harmony in diversity and the harmony of man and nature. He urged the people not to do to others what you don't want done to yourself. Confucianism is from China, but belongs to the world. It's true to be helpful to transform Jamaica into the place of choice, not only to live, work, raise family, and do business, but also to learn and teach. In the company of three, one always can find a teacher. What a joy it is to have friends coming from afar, either from China or Jamaica. Let's learn from each other, cook and share cornmeal porridge, get together, rise together, and feel all right. Thank you all. Thank you.
It's now my honor and pleasure to invite our dear friend and Minister of Education. Okay.
Thank you very much, Chairman Professor Raiboko, Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education and Chairman of today's program, colleague Minister Favor Williams from the Ministry of Finance and the Planning and the Public Service, Your Excellency Mr. Tian Qi, Ambassador Extraordinaire of the Republic of China, Ambassador of China to Jamaica, Professor the Honorable Archibald MacDonald, Vice Chancellor and Principal of the UWI Mona, Professor Paulette Ramsey, other distinguished members of the faculty of the University of the West Indies, distinguished guests, other members of the Embassy of China who are here with us, and visiting faculty from, that's TY, what's that? No, that's TYUT. Professor, good to see you. I am very delighted to be here this morning on this occasion, and I noticed, Ambassador, that in the words of Confucius being enacted, last week, Professor MacDonald, we were all joined in the historic Higher Education Summit. And it was quite interesting in your comments, because that was part of what we're trying to get across, the message that education, including higher education, should be for all people. And not only should there be that aspiration, but let us have a strategy to make that a reality. You know, Jamaica, like the rest of the English-speaking Caribbean, coming out of colonialism, we're coming from a low base of just 2% of our people having access to university. And that would not be consistent with the philosophy of Confucius, who himself not only a philosopher, but as an educator who warned everybody to come into the light of knowledge. He being a teacher, I want to also thank my colleague partner, Honorable Favor Williams, for her partnership, not only in this effort, but you know, yesterday we signed a historic pact with the teachers in their wage agreement, a 4-year wage agreement. In fact, it's very historic, because I didn't quite believe that they would have actually agreed to a 4-year. And so we're very happy that that is behind us and that we can move the education system forward. I want to say on that score, Professor MacDonald, that we are providing to the University of the West Indies the same percentage increase over the 4-year from 27 to 2021. So I have guaranteed the university that they'll get the same 16%. But as I always say, when I go asking the ambassador and other international partners for contribution, I always say I am making our own investment and ask the other partners to either match it or indeed based on their own bountiful blessings that they also bestow what they have. So what we have said to Professor MacDonald, which has not happened for a very long time, because universities, like all institutions, need modernization, have to be upgraded and indeed expanded. So outside of the regular grants that we are providing, the 16% increase over the 4-year period, starting this year, Minister Favor Williams will make, I'm happy, and that's one reason I'm saying it here, because I want to remind her that in Barbados, we have committed $100 million a year for the next 3 years at least for what we call capital budget for the capital development of the University of the West Indies. And I thought I was going to get a big applause for that. So we're very happy this morning that what we are witnessing is indeed consistent with the philosophy and teaching of the great Confucius. I'm therefore delighted to join you in this groundbreaking ceremony for a new building project of the Confucius Institute here at the University of the West Indies. And Professor Ramsey, it would be inconsistent with the philosophy and teaching of Confucius for you to have selected just a few schools for the teaching of Mandarin, and that even close schools in your proximate. I expect that at least all the institutions nearby, including early childhood, right up to the tertiary level, would be impacted. And I'm giving that as the directive. Very well. And I do want to get you into trouble. You're wearing a nice color blue that they were supposed to have been a particular arrangement, and since I don't want to have a conflict of interest, I want to make sure that I have directed at all the schools. By the way, this was supposed to be a university town, and then a whole education zone, and we have to make it a premier education zone. So we have to be very inclusive, and yes, we have to generate the capacity at this level. But that must radiate, mean therefore this knowledge of Mandarin and integration with the Chinese culture. And the teaching of Confucius is an experience that as many of our students should have. But beginning, I'm saying, right here in this vicinity. As Jamaica's cultural and economic ties with China grows, it is to be expected that more and more Jamaicans will want to learn more about China and to study various aspects of its culture, including the Confucian philosophy. Already, as we have heard, Mandarin is being offered as a discrete course by the Department of Modern Languages, and they have more work to do. Congratulations, however, I'm very heartened for your progress so far, but the reward for good work is more work. They've also been most delighted that an agreement was reached to enable the first 25 of our Jamaican students to pursue a Bachelor's of Science degree in Software Engineering program here at the University campus, Mona, and also will be part of that program for them to travel to the Global Institute of Software Technology in Suzhou, China, and complete their program. I told them earlier, they will be bonded so that they can come back to Jamaica, and we make that strong link, because I know you're developing software and all that, but I know you want Jamaica as a very key part of your economic operation. So we need the knowledge and skill sets of Jamaicans at the very highest level, particularly in technology, to reside in Jamaica. So we can see those investments in Jamaica. And indeed, the Jamaicans can be the developers of new ideas around software development. We can develop these new ideas around using technological tools, so that new software design, we can be the next Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates. Yes, we can develop our Jamaicans to be able to do that, and then the Chinese will now in return buy the technology from us. Right, Ambassador. Thank you very much. I would like to convey, therefore, our thanks and appreciation to the government, your government, Ambassador, of the wonderful people of China, to you, Ambassador, for your continued expansion of cooperation between our two countries. Put your hands together for Ambassador and the people of China. On behalf of the government, Minister Faber Williams and myself, we'd like to thank the Confucius Institute in China for the efforts and great support which has brought us to this point. And the ambassador said to me, Professor Ramsey, that I know the Chinese were very fast. I know you may have been watching a video that they built a whole bridge in 24 hours. But he has assured me that you need to give him a little more time to complete the building. So it's not 3 months, but 14 months. All right? But I'm not going to let you go, though, because, as I said to you, that I still have 40 schools on shift, and Confucius would not like that, where we have, so many students not able to have full school, and they stay home sometime in the morning and get themselves into trouble, no supervision. So we need 17 new schools. So I wouldn't mind if we could build 5 and we get the other 12 from the Chinese government. So thank you very much, Ambassador. As many of us are aware, Confucian thoughts have guided various aspects of life in China and many parts of the world, and this continues to grow with an increasing number of Confucius institutes and Confucius classrooms in the past several years. And Professor McDonald have already cataloged that particular expansion. But these institutes, I just want to reiterate, are important avenues for teaching Chinese language, promoting cultural and educational exchanges, and enhancing mutual understanding and friendship. Jamaicans have a way, we travel everywhere in the world. But it's important, as Professor have said, Mandarin is the largest spoken language in the world. We need far more bilateral trade between Jamaica and China, more Jamaicans visiting China for all sorts of things, including doing business. And also, you know, we're working very hard in terms of the issues with visa, and I believe there are some very important air linkage agreements that has been done with Latin America to allow easier airline connections between Jamaica and China. So I'm again looking forward, Ambassador, for a lot of Chinese visiting Jamaica and indeed coming to Jamaica to study. We spoke last week at the summit about the internationalization of tertiary education, and I know that's one of the mandate that Professor Archibald MacDonald has, and we certainly would like to see and welcome thousands of Chinese students coming to study here at the University of the West. And you can study, and you know, we can have you as part of all the campuses of the University of the West Indies, both Cavill and St. Augustine. But I'm certainly wouldn't mind if we have a significant amount of your Chinese, because I know you have very deep pockets, and I know Professor Archibald MacDonald would welcome all the money that you have in China, as many of those to be here in Jamaica and for us to spend at this wonderful campus here at the University, Mona. It is our hope that the programs of the Confucius Institute here at UWI will be a bridge of cooperation in humanities between China and Jamaica. I also hope that more of our young people will grasp the opportunity for training and expanding their knowledge. I would like to end this speech by quoting and commending one of the more famous statements of Confucius to students. So all the students now, listen up, students. In the words of Confucius, he said, "Broader learning, cautious questioning, doubtful thinking, lively debating, constant practice." So let me repeat. Broader learning, cautious questioning, doubtful thinking, lively debating, and constant practice. I look forward to even more areas of cooperation between our two countries. Shisha. Thank you.
You can understand when I was introducing the minister as being a friend of the campus and our academic colleague in every sense. He brings in that dimension which enlivens his speech whenever he addresses us. Minister, thank you very much. And we have noted what you said, and we will hold you to your promises. This isn't on your program, actually, but we're going to do it because it's important. We have a presentation for the ambassador, so I'll soon invite you up, and it will be done by the Honorable Minister Williams. I've just been told that we need to recognize some individuals, members of the top management team. So I welcome my colleague Deans for gracing this occasion. And then also the deputy principal. We actually didn't see you when you came in. We also see our former dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education, Joe. Good morning. And our former deputy principal as well. And we see the director of security services on campus. Welcome, colleagues. Welcome, everyone. We now would like to do what I just said. I invite the minister upstage as well as the ambassador.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Let me just begin by acknowledging Senator the Honorable Roel Reid, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, His Excellency Ambassador Tian Chi, Ambassador Extraordinaire and Plenipotentiary of China to Jamaica, Professor the Honorable Archibald MacDonald, Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Paulette Ramsey, thank you for giving us such an overview. You've enlarged our understanding. I also want to acknowledge all the members of the UWI family, the delegation from the People's Republic of China. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. I'd like to add my thanks and appreciation to the People's Republic of China for the groundbreaking this morning. And I stand here not only in the capacity of Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, but also as Member of Parliament for the constituency in which this great institution is located. So I'm here in that capacity to welcome you as well to Jamaica and to wish you all the best in the years ahead. I know that you're aware that Jamaica and the People's Republic of China have a very long history together, and one that we know is going to continue for many centuries in the future. So I want to just give you a little taste of Jamaica, some Jamaican items for you to enjoy while you're here.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister Williams, for your graciousness. And thank you, Ambassador, for having also accepted what had been offered to you. We are happy to be part of your constituency, and we would look forward to that kind of support from you from time to time. We're getting to the end of the program. I would now like to invite Dr. Yu Wan-Su, the Chinese co-director of the Confucius Institute, and we have our Jamaican director. Could Courtney stand, please? The closing remarks and the vote of thanks on behalf of the two directors and on behalf of all of us.
Dear colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. At the suggestion of Dr. Hogarth, the Jamaican director of the Confucius Institute, I'm now addressing for him the closing remarks and the vote of thanks on behalf of the Confucius Institute at the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. First, I'd like to give my special vote of thanks to the special guests in attendance at today's groundbreaking ceremony. They are His Excellency Tian Qi, Ambassador of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Jamaica, and the Honorable Ruel Reid, Minister of Education, Youth and Information, two representatives of government officials from China and Jamaica, for your strong support and practical guidance, and also to Professor Wu Yu-cheng, Chairman of TYUT Council, and his delegates for your timely attendance. Second, I'm very thankful to the organizing team from the UWI, Mona, say Professor MacDonald, Pro Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Wariboko, Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education, Professor Ramsey, Head of the Department of Modern Languages and Literatures, and so on and so forth, for your effective organization and hard work to have made this ceremony very successful. I'm deeply grateful to all the attendees from different walks of life, whether Jamaican or Chinese, for your active participation in today's groundbreaking ceremony. Without your active participation and cooperation, this ceremony would not be so successful. As a Chinese director of the Confucius Institute, I'd like to thank those Chinese governments, enterprises, officials, and individuals, either from China or from the Chinese community in Jamaica, say the Chinese Ministry of Commerce, the Embassy of the People's Republic of China, China New Era International Engineering Corporation, Qingdao Construction Corporation, Mr. Fan Jianhong, Economic and Commercial Counselor of the Chinese Embassy, Mr. Zhang Jiasuo and Mr. Chu Liyong, two Chinese leaders of the CI building construction team, for your generous donations, true love, great care, and strong commitment shown to the Confucius Institute. As the Chinese popular saying goes, we should not forget the well diggers while drinking water. The CI staff members and the students will never forget you, my dear Chinese friends. Last but not least, my thanks go to Mr. Smith, General Manager of the Project Office, and his team members, Dr. Hogarth and Ms. Sapleton in the Confucius Institute, and any other Jamaican government officials, construction workers, and individuals who have offered practical support and great assistance to the Chinese construction companies and have helped bring this groundbreaking ceremony into existence. Personally, I hope the new CI teaching building will be completed as soon as possible. I'm looking forward to seeing you here in the new building in the near future. Thank you again. Thank you.